compulsory acquisition under any law. Now, in some cases, what happens is, let's get to the drawing board. In some cases, what happens is, let's say, for example, there's a gentleman, okay, he has a piece of land. In order to ensure that the development and growth happens, many a times what happens is, these land parcels are acquired by the government, okay, and these are acquired by the government compulsorily. What this means is, whether or not he wants, this land will be acquired by the government. And what happens is, the government is going to obviously pay this guy. So they'll not snatch it away, they will pay him a reasonable compensation based on the stamp duty value or some other valuation basis. But many a times what happens is that because the stamp duty value may or may not necessarily represent the fair value, these people dispute the amount of consideration, dispute the consideration paid by the government. As I said, these acquisitions are done compulsorily under the law, so these people have no option but to give away these land. You can go and object, that's a different matter, but these are known as compulsory acquisition. So what can happen is that the government may pay, let's say for example, 500 rupees to this person. Okay, but he may say 500 is not enough, pay me 1000. He goes to the court decides, okay, let's not go to 1000 or 500, the fair value we think is 800, so the government is going to pay you 300 rupees more, right? In this case, this 500 rupees is known as the initial consideration. Why? Because this is paid by the government initially. This is known as the subsequent consideration. Okay. Now, once you receive this initial consideration, this is considered as a transfer, and this initial consideration is compared to your cost of acquisition. So let's say your cost of acquisition or index cost of acquisition is 400, right? Then effectively you've made a gain of 500 minus 400 is equal to 100. This 100 rupees is chargeable to tax as capital gains. It does not matter whether you sold it voluntarily or compulsorily. If you've made a profit, you have to pay taxes on that, right? With this background in mind, let us now see the provision. Gain arising from compulsory acquisition of a capital asset. So there was a compulsory acquisition of land under any law or transfer for which consideration was determined by central government / Reserve Bank of India. So basically there's a compulsory acquisition or the consideration is determined by the central government or the Reserve Bank of India, and the person who's selling makes a profit. So 500 he gets, 400 was his cost of acquisition, he makes a profit of 100 rupees, right? Shall be dealt with as under. Initial consideration. Initial consideration was what? The rupees 500 in the example that I told you, which is the money which you receive when the government initially acquired it. Gains in the first instance shall be chargeable as income of the previous year in which such compensation or part thereof was first received. So if you receive these 500 in financial year 10-11, then this 500 will be taxable in financial year 10-11. It's the year of receipt and it's not the year of compulsory acquisition, right? Second is enhanced compensation. Just going back to the case in hand, I told you that if you get 300 rupees as additional money after the court decides the matter, this 300 is known as enhanced compensation, right? The enhanced compensation is taxable in the previous year in which such amount is received by the assessee, okay? But the treatment is what? The cost of acquisition and cost of improvement shall be taken to be nil, though litigation expenses are allowed as a deduction. Now, the reason why cost of acquisition and cost of improvement is taken as nil is because the entire cost of acquisition and improvement is set off against this initial consideration, which was, let's say in our example, 400 was the cost of acquisition. We had considered the entire 400 in year 1. So therefore there is nothing which is left which has to be considered in year 2. Although if you go and dispute it in the court, the litigation expenses that you pay will be allowed as a deduction. In case of death of original transferor, enhanced compensation shall be chargeable to tax as capital gains in the hands of the recipient. So if the person, and we know that in courts it might take a long amount of time before the matters are decided. So if for some bad reason the person who was the owner dies, then whosoever receives the money will be liable to pay capital gains tax on that, right? The third one is reduction in compensation, right? So let's say, for example, initially the government paid 500. Now this is interesting. But when you went to the court said, look, 500 was also more. You should actually get 450, right? Now you paid taxes based on income of 500. But the court said the money which is due to you is only 450. Then ideally, if the money I am getting is 450, then my gains are also less. 450 minus 400, which is 50. So ideally, tax should have been paid on this while I paid tax on 100. In that case, what happens is that the assessed capital gain shall be recomputed, which is 50, for the year when it was received by taking reduced compensation or consideration to be full value of consideration. So you need to recompute the capital gains taxes for this year and claim a refund if you've paid any excess taxes. Right? Let's move on to the next slide now.